The PV industry has been under quite a big pressure in the past year with price hikes for material, but also shortage of components. My name is Sebastian Petretschek. I'm the General Manager of the Rhineland and Global Head of PV Power Plant Business. So this question I want to discuss today with Holly Hu from IHS and Shen from GoodWe. So Holly, the price hikes, how have the price hikes affected the downstream business so far?
Yeah, thank you. The thing is, we look through the supply chain price, especially the module supply chain. We found since last year, second half of last year, the poly price actually hiked too much, and till now the price even more than that, like 4 times than what the lower period time. So the other way, compare with the downstream, we saw the demand quite robust, especially when saw the globally going to the net zero carbon mission. So solar become one of renewable source quite fundamentally supporting this net zero carbon mission. So the demand side is quite robust, but supply side from the poly part, we are lack of short-term lack of capacity. That's why the price of polysilicon to the wafer cell and the module become increasing too much. So yeah, we bring some risk to the downside stream in the market. Yeah.
So what do you think? How long will this trend last? Is there any chance that those prices will decrease in the near future?
Yeah, I think because we are researching the solar development, we found the cost reduction is always in the industry. So from the supply side, we know the manufacturing cost, like production cost in the material side is increasing the price, but we increasing the product's efficiency and also to making the lower BOM price, like BOS price, and also from the inverter side, from total system cost side, we want to control of this price increase. That's why I think the short-term lack of polysilicon capacity will be solved in the future, not long time. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a good news for the industry. At the same time also, there's quite a bit of a shortage of components that you require for your business. Can you give us some information about how this is affecting your business?
Yeah, it is a challenge, I think, not only for the solar business, as far as these electronic components are concerned, I think it's hitting all the associated industry. If you are also seeing this happening for the car, for all the other electronic-oriented business. And for us, fortunately, we got some of stock on hand, which still allows us to plan plenty of the production for now to fulfill the requirement of customer. But in the meantime, we're still trying, to approach all the existing supplies to pull in the components as much as possible, and then try to meet the customer requirement. And in the meantime, we also make some backup plans. For instance, we already started to test like a second source components to make sure that the product could be using those components as well. Of course, if you look at IGBT, if you look at the PCB, that's always challenge there. But thanks to the good relationship with our existing suppliers, I think we believe we can pull this through. But meanwhile, we also talking very actively with our customers. First of all, let them understand the situation, but also ask them to cooperate with to plan and do the forecast in a more accurate way. Of course, the lead time might be longer than usual, but I think through the efforts by all the parties, we also have confidence to pull this through in certain period of time.
So in times of shortage, there's always the risk of lower quality in products, especially also the end product. So how is GoodWe dealing with that situation in order to make sure that the end customer gets a proper product at the end?
Right. I think for GoodWe, we always focus on the quality. So even with this shortage, we never lower the bar of the quality check. Actually, we even strengthen the resources to put all the checking points putting very close eye on it. And in the meantime, as I just mentioned, because there might be some second source to be introduced, and actually we are now mobilizing all the R&D resources to make sure that all the other sources of the component that we're going to select will go through very strict checking points, and then the quality will be guaranteed. So we believe that as long as the product is launched, we will make sure that at least at the same level, if it's not better.
Okay, that's good to hear, and I think this is for the end customer a very important point in order to select the manufacturer. Well, how long do you expect that this situation with the shortage of components will still affect your business? Maybe Rong, first from you.
Yeah, we are keeping a bit neutral point of view on this. I think in next couple of months, we don't think the situation will be better. I think because this shortage has been there for some time, and I think because this is involving the whole supply chain, so it will not be easy just turn this back overnight. But I think maybe in Q4 situation will be improved. And by the way, we also know, for instance, a lot of companies, for instance in China and so on, they're also working hard to get some of the new product to be launched. So by that time, I think we probably could have more replacement, to really put our production back to the normal.
Okay, great. And Holly, from your point of view, with a more general perspective on that, how do you see this trend, and how long would it affect the industry?
Well, at least the first half already happened. I mean, the price hike and will impact with demand. But the second half, if we're optimize the capacity release from the polysilicon way, probably they can easily solve the price down for the polysilicon and making the module supply chain easily to keeping the price level. It's not to hike too much, and also for key markets, if the global trading seems better, and I think the delivery freight cost will be to ease the downstream demand. Yeah.
So coming to another topic, we do not only see a crisis with prices and a crisis of delivery of components, but also a logistic crisis. Quite difficult at the moment to ship products. So how do you see that this is affecting the industry at this moment, Holly?
Yeah, the first of all, we think there's two regional market on the risk right now. The first one is Indian, because current Indians still suffered with COVID, and also the price hike also will be impact with Indian demand as well. So the Indian is our putting the top level of risk market right now for 2021, and other region like Europe and the US, probably they will facing some logistic risk, because the trading part of the world is become quite hot, and the freight cost become higher than before. That's why these two regions probably facing some delay with the products delivered. And yeah, I think this is the risk region we're mentioned in the demand side.
And Rong, how does the logistic issue affecting your business at this moment?
Yeah, it's another challenge. I think there's a chaos for the world this year. You see the pandemic, you see the component shortage, you see the price increase, and so on and so forth. I think definitely that's another add-on cost will be transferred to all the projects. So that means a lot of projects will be affected. If we see the shipping cost to the majority of the country today, the cost has been tripled. I mean, compared to last year, and we didn't see any sign that will stop increasing. And particularly with the second wave of the pandemic starting from India, then surrounding the whole world, I think will still continue to increase. So that remains a challenge, I think. But then, from our point of view, we try to work with our customers, try to, somehow we reduce some of the cost price from us, try to support their business. But anyway, I think it's something not easily to be resolved in the short time.
Okay, so now we talked about the negative aspects of the industry, but I think there are also quite positive ones to be mentioned. So the prices have, in general, decreased substantially over the last years. That has allowed the arising of new business models. So I believe there are a lot of opportunities. Where do you see current trends and future trends that are worth to look at, Holly?
Firstly, I think from the demand side, especially we mentioned we are going to the energy transmission world and become the net zero become the world trend, and everyone knows renewable, especially solar and wind, will become the mainstream of the power generation in the next world. So everyone believes this road will be true. So that's why we saw the hardest of demand side. And other way is from the corporate way. We saw the lot of international company like oil and gas company, they're also setting their net zero carbon emissions as well. So that means the investor of solar become a little bit, more diversified than before, and they can accept the price higher a little bit than before. So that's giving a lot of demand generated from their perspective. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Rong, from the perspective of an inverter and energy storage system provider, where do you see particular trends that you want to look deeper into?
Yeah, I think for this year, it is like still hiccup. If you look back in the whole history, one day in the future, it's price increase in all the regards. However, if you look at the long term, midterm and long term, I believe renewable energy is still something that to be pursued by all the human beings. It's green technology, it's more affordable, it's happening everywhere. And if you look at the cost of panel over the last 10 years, and if you look at the cost of batteries, in next 10 years, I think it will almost seem to be the same trend. So I'm still very optimistic that, for long run, solar business as one of the mainstream renewable energy will still play a very prime role for the developing of the whole renewable energy system. So, which means the residential, CNI, and utility, I think they all could be very prosperous. If you look at the long run. On the other hand, even today we look at energy storage, just because of it really brings the values to the end users. It really creates the sustainability for the people in the society. If you see that in countries like Europe today, still hitting by the severely hit by the pandemic, but the speed of install the storage solution are really fantastic. For GoodWe, we even almost double, even triple of storage selling in this couple of months. So that means we see the storage already getting started, and I think residential storage and eventually commercial storage will definitely be a booming market segment for people to jump in, and because it perfectly make economic sense as well. And then if you look at utilities side, I think because you're gonna do the frequency tuning and so on and so forth, it's also gonna be a good combination where you develop a utility project where it still represents 60% of the market share. So I think by all means, the industry is still there and have big potential to grow.
That sounds very, very optimistic. And as a last question, I would be quite interested in understanding what is your prediction for this year's global installation and next year's. wrong. Maybe you can start from an inverter manufacturer perspective.
Yeah, I think Dan might have better say, but for me, this year, for instance, in China, I think we'll still go for full speed. Just because all the local supply chain here, I mean, it's always easier to move here from here to there, you know, to mitigate the risks. So I think thanks to the new policy being implemented, you know, kind of top down in China, and we see the really booming market. And I think we probably look at the Chinese market like a 60 to 70 gigawatt. Then for the overseas market, as I said, some of the segment like a residential CNI may not be affected, even could grow somehow. But a utility, absolutely, I would say, could be quite deferred, just because of the module price increase and all the shortage, and you know, because then it will be difficult for the developer to make a financial break even. You know, if you reassess those projects. I think this year, if we benchmark with what we have predicted, probably will be lower. I could say if we look at the low side of this year, maybe 120 gigawatt, 130 gigawatt. But next year, I think, especially when a lot of people getting vaccinated and people started to travel around, I think, you know, it's the world may be coming back. So I will be more optimistic. Probably we will look at the like a 170, 180 gigawatt again.
Okay, thanks for this estimation. Holly, from IHS perspective, so what do you expect?
Yeah, actually, our total number is more optimistic than Mr. Ron's view. We have 150 to 160 gigawatts level of global demand, and especially for China, we believe like 60 gigawatts is the total market size we mentioned, and especially we saw the demand from the residential market, because we are keeping the same budget for the last year from government, and that's the final subsidy projects we have in the China. So that's why we booming a little bit demand in the residential segment, and indeed we're facing some risk from the utility side, especially unsubsidized projects. It released in the past 2 years, and they have a deadline for 2021 to get on grade. But the thing is, from current price, we saw there's some discussion mentioned probably Rose projects will be delayed in 2022 because we got some buffer. They will accept Rose projects they approved in the last 2 years, and they can deliver in the 2022. But the thing is, they will losing some benefit from the policy side because they have a favorable on-grade policy, and also the land, and also the guarantee of 20 years PPA price. That's the thing they want to keep. I mean, the most developer, they prefer a finish end of this year, but the thing is they would need considering the price right now, so they need benefits, a balance with these two situations. And from the overseas market, I agree with Ron's point, is we are facing a lot of challenge, but the thing is from the residential and the CNI segments, still quite positive demand coming to those sectors. So the facing some delay is kind of a large utility scale projects. They were facing the price pressure and also the delivery time. So that's why we still wait and see for this year's performance. Yeah.
So it seems that both of you have a slightly carefully but still positive outlook. So we're looking forward to that, and I believe that the industry will prosper also beyond the next 2 years. And I thank you very much for your insights today. Though we're having a lot of challenges, I think the industry will develop very, very positively, and we're looking forward to do this together. Thank you.